the National Library here in Canberra, this is Peter Burgis presenting a tribute to Peter Dawson, the legendary Australian baritone who was born in Adelaide just 100 years ago. Peter's parents were Scots. His father had given up seafaring to settle in Adelaide, where he had founded a plumbing, drainage and tinsmithing business. He had 10 children, and one of them, the youngest boy, Peter, excelled as a youth in boxing and swimming. He was also a very fine artist, training with Hans Huyssen. As he entered his teens, he also showed great ability as a singer and received great praise for his first major performance, which came in 1899 in his hometown when he worked in The Messiah. Let's listen to Peter in Why Do the Nations, from Handel's great work, recorded for HMV back in 1934.
Together, why do the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the nations rage so furiously together? Why do the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the nations so furiously rage together? And why do the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the nations rage so furiously together? And why do the people imagine a vain thing? Imagine a vain thing. And why do the people imagine a vain thing? Of the earth rise up, and the rulers take counsel together, take counsel together against the Lord and against his against the Lord and his anointed. Why the nations so furiously rage together? Why do the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the nations furiously together? Why do the people imagine a vain thing? Imagine a vain thing. Why do the nations so furiously rage together? And why do the people imagine a vain thing? Why do the nations rage so furiously together? And why do the people, imagine a vain thing. Imagine a vain thing. And why do the people imagine a vain thing?
It soon became obvious that young Dawson was destined for great things, and in 1902 his teacher, Charles Stevens, arranged for him to go to London to pursue a concert career. His father, Thomas, was not very happy with the proposal, as his family was prospering and Peter had just finished a plumbing apprenticeship and Dad wanted him to enter the tinsmithing business. Despite his father's protests, Peter sailed for the United Kingdom and began a singing career. He soon discovered that the competition in the UK was pretty stiff, and the first few years brought great hardships. However, his perseverance paid off when he was accepted as a pupil by Charles Santley, the greatest Victorian baritone of his day. One of Santley's favourite songs was Father O'Flynn, composed by the Dublin-born composer Charles Villiers Stanford. He recorded this in 1912 at the age of 78 years, and I thought it'd be nice to have a comparison with Dawson's version, recorded in 1931 when Peter was in his 50th year. But first, let's listen to Charles Santley and then to his pupil.
For free we can offer a certain variety, renowned for learning and piety. Still I don't fancy without impropriety. Father O'Flynn is the flower of them all. Here's a healthy Father O'Flynn, slaughter and slaughter and slaughter again. All for his freighter and Peter is Satan, and Johnny is greater, old Johnny Young. Oh, Father O'Flynn, you've a wonderful way with ye. All our sinners are wishful to pray with ye. All the young children are wise for to play with ye. Ye sit away with ye, Father of Vic. Still for all you don't take their soul, that you're flock in the grandest control. Taking the crazy ones, smoking on easy ones, lifting the lazy ones on sweeter stick.
Of priest we can offer a charming variety, far renowned for learning and piety. Still I'd advance you without impropriety. Father O'Flynn is a flower of them all. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn. Slantil and slantil and slantil again. Powerfulest preacher and tenderest teacher, and kindliest creature in all the Donegal. Don't talk of your Protestant failures of Trinity, famous forever at Greek and Latinity, Gad and the devils and all the divinity, Father O'Flynn and make heirs of them all. Come, I venture to give him my word, never the likes of his logic was heard. Down from mythology into theology, truth and conchology be the call. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn, slantil and slantil and slantil again. Powerfulest preacher and tenderest teacher, and kindliest creature in all the Donegal. Oh, Father O'Flynn, you've a wonderful way with you. All old sinners are wishful to pray with you. All the young children are wild for to play with you. You've such a way with you, Father of Vic. Still for all you've so gentle a soul, Gad, give your flock in the grandest control. Checking the crazy ones, coaxing the easy ones, lifting the lazy ones on with a stick. Here's a health to you, Father O'Flynn, slanter and slanter and slanter again. Powerfulest preacher and tenderest nature, and kindliest creature in all Donegal. And though quite avoiding all foolish frivolity, still it all seasons of innocent jollity, where was a playboy could claim an equality and comicality farther with you. Once the bishop looked grave at your jest, till his remarks set him off with the rest. Here's that lave gaiety, hold to the laity, cannot the clergy be Irishmen too? Here's a health to you, Father Flynn, and Schlankel again, powerfulest preacher and tenderest nature, and kindliest creature in old Donegal.
One of the first breaks which the young baritone enjoyed in London was recording contracts with both disc companies and cylinder companies. This began in about the middle of 1904, and for the next couple of years he was very busy in the studios. The following year, 1905, he married Annie Noble, who was also a promising singer in her own right and worked under the name of Annette George. And she also came from a theatrical family, which did Peter's career no harm. In 1906, the young baritone helped pioneer the recording of the works of Gilbert and Sullivan. We'll listen to him now, leading the Sullivan Operatic Company in A More Humane Mikado, recorded just 21 years after the opera was produced.
A more humane Mikado never did in Japan exist. So nobody's taken, I'm certainly reckon a true philanthropist. It is my very humane endeavor to make to some extent each evil liver a running river of harmless merriment. My object all sublime I shall achieve in time, so let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fits the crime, and make each prisoner pant unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. The advertising quack who wearied with tales of countless cures, his deep acted shall all be extracted by terrified amateurs. The music hall singer attends a series of masses and fugues and off, by Bach interwoven with foreign Beethoven at Monday classical pop. The billiard shop whom anyone catches he dooms extremely hard. He's made to dwell in a dungeon cell on a spot that's always barred, and there he plays extravagant matches in fiddler's finger stalls on a cloth and through the twisted hue and elliptical billiard balls. My object all sublime I shall achieve in time, so let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fits the crime, and make each prisoner pant unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. The object all sublime he will achieve in time, so let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fits the crime, and make each prisoner pant unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
It's hard to realise, isn't it, that was recorded 76 years ago. After Dawson made that, he decided to accept an offer to tour Australia in 1909 and 10 with the Amy Castles Company. And he was an Australian soprano, a member of a musical family who was very popular at that time, and the tour was a triumphant success. They often travelled by horse-drawn coach, and Dawson found that his name had preceded him through the sale of his recordings. Even in the outback, cylinders and discs were very popular, and this helped the success of the tour. Before he left for Australia, however, Peter had appeared at Covent Garden in a season of opera, all sung in English, which was a form of opera which he preferred. This rendition of the Toreador song, made about a month before he left for his homeland, recreates for us his style of singing opera at that time.
And the claiming I lift my glass, the soldiers being bold. Hurry, you don't like you, with courage flaming, thrill with joy when they come and behold. See the circus throng with crowds of people, the seats are filled above below. Loud hails ring out from every steeple, all the world has come to the show. What shouting, what frenzied voices, when the bull cries out with angry roar. But within the sorry roar with voices, for the honor when the fight is o'er. Look out, beware, look out, beware, Toreador, Toreador, bear thou in my twin goblet dealing, stride for the lady God thee, for the upon pathway, Toreador, for the upon pathway. Toreador,
After his 1909-10 tour of Australia, Dawson returned with his own company in 1912, and so successful were they that he was brought out again in 1914 by Hugh D. Mackintosh. However, the outbreak of war didn't do him any good, and he found himself stranded in his homeland, and he put himself to work helping with the war effort and doing patriotic work wherever he could. In 1916, he got back to London, made further recordings, and was there when Oscar Asher's Chu Chin Chow premiered. Whilst he never undertook roles in stage musicals, nor Gilbert and Sullivan for that matter, his version of the Cobbler's song, made in 1930, remains one of his finest recordings.
Cobble and slipper and the tune, from the rise of sun to the set of moon. Cobble as best I may, cobble all night and cobble all day, and I sing as I cobble this doleful lay. A scouter, I cobble the less iron, for the soles ne'er crack, nor the apples turn. The better my work, the less my pay, but work can only be done one way. tread. I judge the world by the way they tread. Heels worn thick and the soles worn thin, toes turned out and the toes turned in. There's food for thought in a sandal skin. For prince and commoner, poor and rich, stand in need of the cobbler's stitch. Why then worry what lies before? Hang this life by a thread no more. And slipper and shoon, from the rise of sun to the set of moon. Cobble and cobble as best I may, cobble all night and cobble all day, and I sing as I cobble this doleful lay.
The trademark of Dawson's repertoire was just variety, and very few musical styles escaped his attention. During the First World War period, he was called upon to record quite a lot of American material, including vaudeville hits such as There's a Tavern in the Town. These were often issued under pseudonyms such as Will Strong, and of course he had done this earlier in his music hall days when he recorded under the name of Hector Grant. Here's his January 1917 hit, There's a Tavern in the Town, and worth noting that this was first published back in 1883.
There is a tavern in the town, and there my dealer sits him down, and drinks his wine, made love for free, and never thinks of me. Fare thee well, for I must leave thee, do not let the parting grieve thee, and remember that the best of friends must part. Adieu, kind friends, adieu. I can no longer stay with you. I'll hang my harp on a weeping willow tree, and may the world go well with thee. He left me for a damsel dark. Each Friday night they used to spark, and now my love, once true to me, takes that dark damsel on his knee. Fare thee well, for I must leave thee, do not let the parting grieve thee, and remember that the best of friends must part. Adieu, kind friends, adieu. I can no longer stay with you. I'll hang my harp on a weeping willow tree, and may the world go well with thee. Oh, dig my grave wide and deep, put tombstones at my head and feet, and on my breast carve a turtle dove to signify I died of love. Fare thee well, for I must leave thee, do not let the parting grieve thee, and remember that the best of friends must part. Adieu, kind friends, adieu. I can no longer stay with you. I'll hang my harp on a weeping willow tree, and may the
1818, Peter enlisted in the Australian Armed Forces, and his boat was sailing through the Panama Canal when armistice was declared. So he returned home and, following discharge, rejoined the family business of making tinware. He was 37 years old and was not happy working in a foundry. So once again, he had to decide between plumbing and singing. And fortunately for us, he set forth once more for London, intent on re-establishing himself as the leading English baritone of the day. This he did, and he then turned his attention to composition, because he was a very keen composer, mainly interested in the music rather than the lyrics. And when he needed lyrics, he called upon Rudyard Kipling's words. Possibly, apart from Mandalay, one of his best Kipling examples is Danny Deever.
What are the bugles blowing forth that files on parade? To turn you out, to turn you out, the colour sergeant said. What makes you look so white, said files on parade? I'm dreading what I've got to watch, the colour sergeant said. For they're hanging Danny Deever, you can hear the dead march play. The regiment's in on a square, they're hanging him today. They've taken off his buttons off and cut his stripes away, and they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. What makes that rear rank breed so odd, said files on parade? It's bitter cold, the colour sergeant said. What makes that front leg man fall down, said files on parade? A touch of sun, the colour sergeant said. They are hanging Danny Deever, they are marching off him round. They've altered Danny Deever by his coffin on the ground, and he'll swing in half a minute for a sneaking, shouting hound. Oh, they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. His cut was right and cut to mine, said files on parade. He's sleeping out and far tonight, the colour sergeant said. I drank his beer a score of times, said files on parade. He's drinking bitter beer alone, the colour sergeant said. They are hanging Danny Deever, you must mark him to his place. He's shot a comrade sleeping, you must look him in the face. Mine engine of his county, and the regiment's disgrace. While they're hanging Danny Deever in the morning. Let the black again the sunset files on parade. Is many fighting hard for life, the colour sergeant said. What's that whimpers overhead, said files on parade? It's Danny's soul that's crossing now, the colour sergeant said. Oh, they've done with Danny Deever, you can hear the quick step play. The regiment's in column and they're marching us away. Oh, the young recruits are shaking and they'll want their beer today. After hanging Danny Deever in the morning.
Dawson is usually described as a man singer, whose robust and vigorous manner was particularly suited to marching songs, tales of the open air, buccaneers, pirates, and of course tales of the armed forces. And many of the 2,000 titles he recorded in a 54-year span were of this manly nature. In fact, he sang very few love songs. Let's listen to Sons of the Brave, a rousing version recorded in 1932 with a quartet and the orchestra led by Ray Noble.
When the bugle sounds the clarion call, from the countryside they're rallying all, ready to dare and serve whatever befall. Sons of the brave, the nation's pride. Side by side the boys are swinging along, with a cheery smile and frolicking song. To the battlefront they'll soon belong. Glorious victory could beside. They're marching, marching, marching away, step by step and side by side. On the road that leads to victory, sons of the brave and the nation's pride. Sad hearts are left and homes bereft of love and life and laughter. They go to claim a hero's name in freedom's cause to conquer. And who will say, we bid you stay, their heritage is glory. All that was their name engraved. All hail the bravest of the brave. Starting down the heaven's road. Ever ready on the grave. Ready the sun to shed. No heart is shall prevail. On the London hills road. While they fall in the city to rise again. Sacrificing to his cause, never shall he be in vain. On the homeward road they're marching along, not a voice is heard in rollicking song, for to the battlefield their thoughts belong, sons of the brave, the nation's pride. When the road is cold, there's many a name, never answers, though they call it again. Honor is theirs for them, a hero's name, sons of the brave, the nation's pride. They're marching, marching, marching along, step by step and side by side. For the path has led to victory, sons of the brave and the nation's pride.
The 1920s and the 1930s were a golden period for the great Australian baritone. He was a household name right throughout the British Empire, and it was said that every record collection included a disc of Peter Dawson. In 1925, electrical recording had arrived, and this saw the recording horn replaced by the microphone. Dawson had no trouble in adapting to the new process and was required to spend considerable time re-recording many of his old titles for reissue using the improved new technique. These 1930 discs featured popular songs of the dance band period. In some cases, as I've mentioned, Ray Noble led the very fine orchestra behind the artist. Here's a recording from 1936 of a rather rare and unusual title, Don't Let the River Run Dry.
Sitting in the sun, happy everyone, while that old man river rolled along. Now, oh Lord, we pray, take that sun away, rivers crying, we're all crying, and we've done you wrong. Sun beaten down all around us, scorching the wheat and the no rain falling, Lord, hear us calling, don't let the river run dry. Rain clouds are over the valley, why must they keep drifting by? Lord, help we needin', Lord, hear us pleading, don't let the river run dry. Down on the delta, watching the tide, drifting away to the sea. Seeking a shelter, somewhere to hide, what is the end to be? All through the night we are praying, send down the rain from the sky. Have you forgotten we planted cotton? Now let the river run dry. Down in the delta, watching the tide, drifting away to the sea, seeking a shelter somewhere to hide. What is the end to be? All through the night we are praying, send down the rain from the sky. Have you forgotten we planted cotton? Don't let the river run dry.
At the time that Peter made that track, he was also featuring in pioneer closed-circuit television programs being produced by the BBC. In fact, you used to walk in off the street to watch them, and you paid sixpence for the pleasure. After he made only a few motion picture musical shorts for companies like Pathé in the early 1930s, he was called upon by HMV to feature Hollywood musical material, such as Irving Berlin's We Saw the Sea from the first air Ginger Rogers musical, Follow the Fleet.
The Navy to see the world, and what did we see? We saw the sea. We saw the Pacific and the Atlantic, but the Atlantic isn't romantic and the Pacific isn't what it's cracked up to be. We joined the Navy to do or die, but we didn't do and we didn't die. Where we're much too busy looking at the ocean and the sky, and what did we see? We saw the sea. We saw the Atlantic and the Pacific, and the Pacific isn't terrific, and the Atlantic isn't what it's cracked up to be. They tell us that the Admiral is as nice as he can be, but we never see the Admiral, because the Admiral has never been to sea. We joined the Navy to see the girls, but what did we see? We saw the sea. Instead of a girl or two in a taxi, we were compelled to look at the Black Sea. Seeing the Black Sea isn't what it's cracked up to be. Sailing, sailing home again, to see the girls upon the village green. Then across the foam again, to see the other seas we haven't seen. We owe the Navy an awful lot, for they taught us how to do the sailor's home time, and they showed us how to tie the sailor's knot. But more than that, they showed us the sea. We never get seasick seeing the ocean, we don't object to feeling the motion. We never seasick, but we're awful sick of sea. The Navy an awful lot, for they taught us how to do the sailor's home time, and they showed us how to tie a sailor's knot. But more than that, they showed us the sea. We never get seasick sailing the ocean, we don't object to feeling the motion. We're never seasick, but we are awful sick of sea.
seems more likely that Peter would have been sick of singing so many songs about the sea. In the 1930s, Peter returned to Australia on 3 occasions. He also spent a lot of time in South Africa and the Far East, and it was a very productive period for him. His 1939 Australian tour was again, however, disrupted by the outbreak of this time World War II. He was now 57 years old and once more found himself stranded in his homeland. However, being a very hard-working man, he immediately set out to assist the war effort with patriotic concerts and fundraising drives. When the war finished, he spent his post-war years alternating between Australia and England and seemed quite determined to never retire. He continued to record and was a frequent broadcaster with both the BBC and also the ABC. However, the bulk of his time in his latter years was dedicated to promoting the cause of the Australian composer, and he was president of the Association of Australian Composers. One of his own best compositions, I think, was Lassiter's Last Ride, a search for that elusive reef of gold. And this composition was recorded in 1953 as part of the soundtrack of a film entitled Phantom Gold. The film was never released. However, here's one of the rarest recordings in the National Library. It's the actual soundtrack, taken from an acetate, and the accompaniment is Charles Camilleri. It's worth remembering that when he made this, Peter was aged 71 years.
Last of the road from his camping ground, in search of a golden road, but no one knows what Lassiter found, or the thread that Lassiter rode. He fared alone to the great unknown, and followed the phantom guide. But only God and the stars looked down on Lassiter's long ride. Now Lassiter sleeps in great Northwest, where they say that the dead sleep sound. And what was the end of Lassiter's quest? And where is the gold he found? Go where the great winds blow, and die as Lassiter died. But only God and the white stars know of Lassiter's long ride. Many may guess at his fruitless quest, or murmur his name in grief, but somewhere on in the great Northwest lies a thread to a golden reef, and men will go where the great winds blow, and try as Lassiter tried. But only God and the stars looked down on Lassiter's long ride, on Lassiter's long ride.
give the abrupt ending to that particular disc, which is one of the rarest recordings, as I mentioned, in our collection. In 1957, at the age of 75, Peter then made his Australian television debut for the ABC. His last professional engagement took place in the following year, 1958, in Adelaide, his home city, exactly 60 years after he made his stage debut in that particular town. During 6 decades, he had performed in most corners of the British Empire and achieved a reputation not only of a great singer, but also of a person of great warmth and charm. He was liked by his rivals and most members of the music trade, and this was despite his notoriety for his storytelling and his sort of roguish sense of humour. Till the end, he did maintain a great dislike for musical snobbery and for pretentiousness. He passed away in 1961 on the 27th of September in his 80th year. He'd spent his last few years in his Sydney home at Narrabeen. Throughout his career, Peter Dawson proudly emphasised his Australian nationality and retained an admiration and love for the country and the people of his birthplace. I think it was most appropriate that in 1976, Mrs. Con Dawson, his widow, who I know is listening to the program, and we send her our kindest regards, donated to the National Library the personal papers of her husband. They're preserved in the National Library for all members of the community. Included in that collection was one of the most memorable and splendid 78s that Peter Dawson ever recorded, a very moving version of The Holy City.
Last night I lay a-sleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem beside the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. Methought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And then methought my dream was changed, the streets no longer rang. Hushed was the glad hosannas, the little children sang. The sun grew dark with mystery, the morn was cold and chill, as the shadow of a cross arose upon a lonely hill, as the shadow of a cross arose upon a lonely hill. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, hark how the angels sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And once again the scene was changed, new earth there seemed to be. I saw the holy city beside a tideless sea. The light of God was on its streets, the gates were open wide, and all who might enter, and no one was denied. No need of moon or star by night, or sun to shine by day. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore.